Hey everyone, welcome back to Genai Tech News. We've got a packed show for you today, so let's dive straight in. Kicking things off with a genuinely wild story from the world of AI. As reported by The Verge, Anthropic, the company behind the Claude AI models, has just announced something called Claude Science. And no, this isn't just another chatbot upgrade. This is Anthropic planting its flag in the world of scientific research, specifically drug development. At an event called The Briefing, AI for Science, Anthropic unveiled this new platform as essentially a unified workbench for scientists. The idea is to pull together all those fragmented research tools and datasets that researchers normally have to juggle and wrap them into one environment, one that can also generate figures and visualizations automatically. Think of it like giving scientists a supercharged AI research assistant that already knows where all the data is. What's really bold here is Anthropic's framing. They're not just saying, hey, this could help researchers. They're actively positioning Claude Science around the goal of discovering and developing new drugs. For a company that started as an AI safety lab, that's a significant pivot into some very high-stakes territory. Now, this is exciting stuff, but it's also worth keeping a healthy dose of skepticism handy. Drug development is notoriously slow, expensive, and unpredictable, even with the best AI tools. But if Anthropic can actually accelerate any part of that pipeline, the implications for medicine could be massive. Definitely a story we'll be watching closely. All right, next up, and this one is going to sting a little. Wired is reporting that we are deep into what they're calling the knockout round of consumer electronics price increases. Phones, computers, gaming consoles, basically all your favorite gadgets, are getting significantly more expensive, and the prices are still climbing. So what's driving this? According to Wired, the main culprit is the AI-driven chip shortage. The insatiable demand for powerful processors to run AI workloads has created serious pressure across the entire semiconductor supply chain. And when chip supply gets squeezed, everything that runs on chips gets pricier. This isn't just a minor bump in price tags either. We're talking about a broad, sustained surge across the consumer electronics space. If you've been holding off on upgrading your phone or laptop, hoping prices would come back down, well, the current picture doesn't look especially encouraging. It's a frustrating situation for consumers, especially coming off years of supply chain chaos from the pandemic era. The AI boom has been incredible for tech innovation, but it's increasingly clear that everyday buyers are paying a real price for it, literally. So if there's something on your wish list, it might actually be worth moving sooner rather than later. Moving on to the energy sector, Wired has a fascinating deep dive on 3 nuclear energy startups that just hit a significant milestone. In a very on-brand move, their 4th of July plans apparently involved celebrating new reactor designs actually coming online. That's right, small modular and advanced reactor designs that have been talked about for years are starting to become physical reality. This is genuinely exciting news. Nuclear power has long been seen as a potential cornerstone of a clean energy future, but it's been stuck in a cycle of delays, cost overruns, and public skepticism for decades. The fact that these startups are getting experimental reactor designs operational is a meaningful step forward. But, and Wired is careful to point this out, there is still a massive gap between hitting engineering milestones and actually delivering electricity to the grid at any meaningful scale. Building demonstration reactors is one thing. Scaling up to commercial power production, navigating regulatory approval, and doing it all at a competitive cost, that's an entirely different mountain to climb. So the honest take here is, this is encouraging progress, and it deserves recognition. But nuclear energy is still very much in a watch this space phase rather than a problem-solved moment. The next few years will be critical for determining whether these startups can actually deliver on their enormous promise. Now for some corporate drama from inside one of the world's most powerful AI labs. Wired is reporting that unionization talks at Google DeepMind are getting off to a seriously rocky start. During negotiations earlier this week, employees reportedly voiced significant frustration with what they described as a lack of genuine engagement from company executives. Essentially, the workers feel like leadership is showing up to the table without really being willing to wrestle with the actual prospect of a union. This is a notable moment. Google DeepMind is the powerhouse research lab responsible for some of the most groundbreaking AI work happening anywhere in the world. And the fact that its employees are pushing for collective representation and running into resistance reflects a broader tension that's been building across the tech industry for several years now. Workers at AI labs are increasingly asking hard questions about how their research is deployed, what ethical guardrails are in place, and what kind of say they have in those decisions. A union would give them a more formal mechanism to push on those issues. Whether Google DeepMind's leadership comes around to meaningful dialogue remains to be seen, but this story is absolutely one to watch as the AI industry matures. Okay, this next story has some serious Big Brother energy, and I think everyone should know about it. The Verge is reporting that while millions of fans are tuning into World Cup matches being co-hosted by the United States this year, federal authorities may very well be watching those fans right back. According to The Verge, a sprawling network of surveillance infrastructure, including drones and cameras, has been deployed across host cities, from Kansas City to New York. This is all happening in the context of America 250, the country's semi-quincentennial celebration, making it a year of massive public gatherings and, apparently, a massive surveillance footprint to match. Here's what makes this particularly striking. It's not just the people inside the stadiums who are potentially under surveillance. The Verge points out that the millions of ordinary residents who simply live in these host cities could be caught up in this monitoring as well, without ever choosing to attend a single game. This raises some genuinely important questions about the balance between security at large public events and civil liberties. Surveillance technology has advanced rapidly, and the legal frameworks governing its use haven't always kept pace. If you're heading to a World Cup match this summer, or even just living in one of these cities, it's worth being aware that the cameras are likely watching. Here's a reminder that stings, and it comes straight from Wired. Sony is set to remove certain movies and TV shows from PlayStation users' libraries in September. Content that those users actually purchased. Gone. Wired makes an important and honest point here. When you buy a digital movie or show through a platform like PlayStation, what you're really purchasing is a license to access that content, not the content itself. And licenses, as it turns out, can expire or be revoked when studios or distributors change their deals behind the scenes. This is an entirely new territory. We've seen similar situations play out with other digital storefronts over the years. But Sony doing it at scale is a fresh reminder of just how fragile digital ownership actually is. You could spend years building a digital library, and with no warning, pieces of it can simply vanish. For anyone who's been on the fence about digital versus physical media, this is exactly the kind of story that sends people back to buying Blu-rays. The convenience of digital is real, but so is the risk. If you've got purchase content on your PlayStation account, it might be worth checking what's in your library before September arrives. And finally, in what might be the most ironic and alarming cybersecurity story of the week, TechCrunch is reporting that a European politician who is actively serving on an EU committee investigating spyware abuses had their own phone hacked using Pegasus spyware. Let that sink in for a second. Someone tasked with investigating the misuse of surveillance tools was themselves being surveilled with those exact tools. According to TechCrunch, a government customer of NSO Group, the Israeli company behind Pegasus, deployed the spyware against this politician's device. Pegasus, for those unfamiliar, is a highly sophisticated piece of software that can silently infiltrate a smartphone and give attackers access to messages, calls, camera, microphone, essentially everything. It's been linked to surveillance of journalists, activists, and politicians around the world. This case is particularly damning because it directly undermines the oversight process that's supposed to hold the spyware industry accountable. If the people doing the investigating are being compromised, it raises serious questions about who exactly can hold these surveillance tools to account, and whether meaningful regulation is even possible. This is a big deal for digital privacy advocates across Europe and beyond. TechCrunch's reporting on this is definitely worth a full read if you want the deep dive. All right, everyone, that's a wrap on today's Genai Tech news. We covered a lot of ground, from AI drug discovery to nuclear power, digital ownership rights, and some genuinely scary surveillance stories. If you found this useful, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. We'll see you in the next one.